Yo guys, Vegito is back to his God of Destruction killing antics, guys. We have Ultra Vegito kills Arak, God of Destruction of Universe 5, guys. So that's what we have for us today. If you guys were not here in the last video, Vegito, he destroyed Guts, guys. Vegito, he destroyed Guts. He lost brutally, but then he was able to make a comeback thanks to Boo himself. So we're just pretty much getting, we're coming from that, and we're gonna go straight into, what comes after. So let's get on to the reaction, shall we? Let's go.
So our story continues with the God Killer Vegito, left all alone in the aftermath of his explosion of power, in the middle now of a wasteland of destruction, absolutely covered in a raucous of black lightning, having just now, of course, absorbed the first of the 5 strongest. And for a moment, Vegito looks down in deep thought in a moment of silence, completely unaware that all around him, the rest of the Z fighters that were once around him, including the Supreme Kai, are still nowhere to be seen. Before he then lets out, "Once more. Once more I escaped the grips of death. That was close. It almost doesn't seem real that I made it out in one piece. Guts. So this is the kind of power the Grand Priest will have." The solemn and reflective mood, though, doesn't last long before Vegito raises his left fist and with a smirk comments, "But all that matters in the end is that I am alive. The ultimate avenger remains, and so too does the death sentence of the gods. But my, this energy you gave me, Guts, it's so pure, so perfect. I used to think the power of the angels was the strongest I could ever get, the key to defeating Zeno. But how wrong I was. This power is on a whole new level." But once he looks down to
so
his
those
right
Z fighters,
arm,
did they actually
he
like die,
remembers
or was
that
it
he
just
is
a
still
blinding
holding on
light?
to the
Was it like an
mysteriously
explosive
powerful
wave?
sword of the first of the 5. And staring at it, he comments, "And this, I almost forgot your energy wasn't the only gift you left me, Guts. A blade. So sharp, it could cut through not only me, but one of the 5 strongest in the multiverse, as if he were butter. You did mention that even Zeno feared this blade, didn't you?" Before immediately, as if playing with a new toy, tossing it into the sky with ease, sending it spinning rapidly in the air, cutting through the atmosphere like a helicopter's rotors, before inevitably falling down and perfectly being caught in the palm of the God Killer's hand. Now looking to the giant sword in his possession with his side eye, Vegito continues, "And the reason for that is why. A demon emperor locked inside, did he say? Exactly what even is that? And why was he so fearful of whatever that was? The only demon I ever knew was Dabura. He was a demon king, wasn't he? And he didn't exactly last too long with me. Even Gohan as a kid could have dealt with him. That swordsman must have just been losing his mind. He did say he'd lived for even longer than the gods." But despite reassuring himself, Vegito would then hold out the blade further, looking it up and down before letting out, "But losing his mind or not, I must see this emperor for myself. Call me cocky, but right now, I need something to test this new power on. I feel unbeatable, and I'm practically itching to unleash it in a meaningful way. But just how do I even get this damn demon out?" Eventually though, a thought comes to Vegito, as he adds, I guess if he's trapped in the sword, it has to be the same kind of deal as what happened with the Elder Kai. If I remember correctly, the Supreme Kai summoned Kachin, the hardest known metal in the universe.
Yeah.
And one swing of the Z-Sword was all it took to snap in half and free him. With an angel staff in my possession, I'm sure I can pull off the same. Staff, come to me! And just like
Okay,
that,
it's been a minute. It's been a minute since I've
back
seen that
the
staff.
angel staff
Not gonna
that
lie.
was once formerly owned by Whis. And with an authoritative tap on the ground, Vegito would then strike the bottom of his staff onto the ground below, creating a soothing bell tone through the air until, just like that, a large solid block of Kachin, the toughest and strongest metal known in the multiverse, is then summoned in the sky before the God Killer. And slowly, as Vegito makes his angel staff now disappear after completing its task, the intimidatingly large cube of Kachin ebbs closer and closer towards Vegito. Come! Before, with a commanding tone, Vegito smirking, confidently then summons the metal object with his hand to move to him properly, as he says under his breath, "Let us see what the Blade of Destruction is truly made of." And just like that, on command, the unfathomably heavy block of Kachin rushes towards the God Killer with insane speed, looking like a complete blur before him until... Vegito, in quick response, then holds tight to the sword handle with all his might and swings the blade backwards like a baseball bat, ready to attempt to slice the Kachin in half fruitlessly and thus break the sword in half as expected.
Okay.
Time to get you out of there, demon! As Vegito then braces himself in perfect stance, his Godslayer blade now within touching distance to the still unstoppable Kachin until... Unbelievably, the once thought unbreakable block of Kachin is sliced clean in half, and instantly after that, the two sides of the block erase, also under the power of her kind. You're kidding me! This thing can do what the Z-Sword couldn't! Leaving Vegito stunned into
Sliced it
near
in
silence,
half and
his whole
erased it
reality
for good measure.
understanding
Okay.
of how strong this blade was then comes into complete question. The remnants of the Kachin block disappearing right before his black eyes. And in the aftermath, Vegito just stands in silence, looking down at what is now just thin air, staring down at the drooping blade, which hasn't got a dent on it, as he says, "This blade, what is it? Not even Kachin can stop it. Maybe I was too optimistic, but how could the Supreme Kai and Kibito have had so much faith in the Z-Sword, but not know of whatever this is? Well, I guess it matters not now." Before Vegito then
Because you
begins
can't ask
smiling
them
once
because
more,
they're erased
changing
or
his tune
whatever
as
happened
he
to
then
them.
holds the blade
I'm guessing they're
forward
dead.
before
I
him,
don't know.
with one hand firmly gripped on either side as he looks on at it and continues, "After all, if striking the strongest metal in the multiverse can't break this thing, then all we have to do is let the strongest mortal in the multiverse try his hand instead." Said, Vegito then tightens his grips even further and begins powering up his near endless energy, surrounding himself in a sparkling black lightning as the ground and rocks around him begin to rumble and levitate slowly into the air. And soon as the weight of the power increases even further, even his feet begin to break the very ground of the planet below, shattering it into many pieces. But with the increase in power, Vegito soon realizes that despite it, the sword remains steadfast, not bending in the slightest as he thinks, "Oh God! I can't even feel this thing tremble. Surely power like this should have done something by now. Enough of this! You will bend to my will, sword! Immediately causing Vegito in a burst of rage and frustration to unleash what seems like his full power, as his eyes and mouth all burst wide open. And from afar, this is especially apparent when Vegito's burst of energy was like a roaring fire in the furnace, blasting into the sky itself, dismantling what's left of the surrounding areas.
Whoa! Damn.
And eventually, this culminates in a truly mass explosion, as Vegito's uncontainable power bursts out even further. Of course, nothing but thick smoke is seen once the energy dissipates, and there is a calming silence. But once the smoke too is all gone, what is left behind is a giant crater where Vegito's energy had eaten away at the surface of the planet.
Yeah, that thing didn't even move. Even the handle didn't break.
What seems like a partially exhausted Vegito, still staring at the unmoved blade in complete disbelief, muttering out, "This is unbelievable. This thing just withstood near enough my full power. It could have gone a little further, but it would have been no use. This sword, it's not moving even at the molecular level." Before immediately without warning, like guts before him, he then slams the sword into the ground, resting on it with his body weight as he catches his breath once more. But looking down with a sweat, revealing just how hard the God Killer was indeed trying in his attempt to break it, Vegito finally lets out, "For something so thin and light, just how could it be this strong? Are all weapons of the gods like this? Or could it be that just whatever's inside this is even stronger than me?" But trying to bat away such a thought, Vegito then grunts out, "Don't be ridiculous. Holy magical warriors with their holy magical swords. Probably some kind of weird seal preventing it from being broken. That's all. And that's all there is to it." Before Vegito then begins lifting his left hand and continuing, "Besides, whatever this blade is, it's mine now. The stronger it is, the more useful it will be against those two." Before eventually raising his arm.
The only problem with a blade like that is where you're gonna keep it at, right? Like unless you have some type of like you know, like unless you have like a sword holder or something, like it's just gonna be annoying if you have to carry it everywhere.
"I'll make use of you one day."
Or you could do that. I'm guessing he's just gonna put it. He's just gonna put in a portal.
And with that said, Vegito would then approach quickly the final time portal in front of him, saying as he steps foot, "Now, it's finally time to get back to dismantling the gods. Or at least what's left of them." Before eventually disappearing just as swiftly as the blade of destruction before him. But soon the scene shifts to a strange but familiar toddler-like creature holding a tablet that is indeed watching Vegito's every move.
I'm guessing this is Zeno, has to be.
And when the scene zooms out, it is of course an awestruck Zeno, with his carefully watching royal guard in the background, as with a youthful yell, the Omni King says, "Wow, Son Goku has gotten really strong now, hasn't he? He even beat that cool sword guy. He used to be so much fun to watch, and now Son Goku has his power too. Doesn't that make him nearly as strong as you now, Dai?" Soon revealing that this Dai character was actually referring to the Dai Shinken himself, as the Grand Priest reacts, "Stronger than me?" Under his breath, the Daishinkan would then bow his head, and with a visibly triggered face would whisper, "Don't be ridiculous. No, Zeno-sama, he isn't quite on my level yet. You know firsthand that nobody's power entertains you more than mine. Isn't that right, my lord? I'm afraid that saying has a long way to go still, even if he somehow managed to deal with gods." And in response to this, with an innocent smile, Zeno would say back, "You're right, Dai. I've never had more fun than when I watch you fight. You're the coolest ever. But Son Goku is pretty fun to watch too. You should really send the rest of the 5 strongest to fight him, just like you did with Guts." But before suddenly Zeno's tone and mannerisms change instantly, creating a dark atmosphere, as Zeno then says coldly, looking at the Grand Priest without blinking, "If you ever try to ruin my fun behind my back again, you will be sent to the same place as your brother." Oh, not there!
Whoa!
The Grand Priest for the first time in the series in complete fear and paralysis, as his trembling body can't help but move involuntarily as he whispers,
Oh, he's in shock paralysis.
"Yes, my lord. I will send the rest of the 5 at once. Please, forgive me." But soon, once again, the scene shifts to an unfamiliar sight.
Whoa.
A landscape of mountains
Damn,
with
okay.
2 finger-like apparitions standing atop one of them.
Is Vegito sure he can be? Is he sure he can be Zeno?
To be Arak, god of destruction of Universe 5, meditating peacefully behind a makeshift fire.
Hey, yo, he's pulling
While
a
his
Jiren?
angel, Kukatail, stands silently behind him until, with a hint of trepidation, the angel would let out, "My lord, I am afraid Lord Jin has now fallen too.
Okay, Jin, alright.
You remain now as one of the last 3 gods, and I remain as one of the last 3 angels. Inevitably, the God Killer will be coming for us next. If not today, it will be tomorrow. How do you choose to proceed? Do you want me to summon our universe's greatest warriors in response?" But Arak, seemingly unbothered and still with his eyes closed deep in meditation, would just say back, "No. Sullying those innocent warriors with our debt will do nobody any favors. Unnecessary bloodshed is not what I desire. When he arrives, we will stand tall as the gods we are, and face this evil head on. Do not be fearful, Kukatail. We have faced far worse in the past, with the likes of Lucif. This character..."
I just keep hearing this Lucif person, bro. How many times have I heard of Lucif in the past, like,
the god and angel,
I don't know, like couple
portal
videos
suddenly
here.
opens, much to the shock of the duo. And of course, a familiar foot steps out and says, "Just the mortal." At this point, I'm not even surprised you gods still say that like it's an insult. Just another example of your contempt for those you rule over. But I do have a question. After everything I've done, everything you've seen, can you really not tell by now? I am not mortal anymore! As a base Vegito is finally revealed in a monstrous sight, as on his left arm, his cell tail is let loose, while on his right, completely, it has become a loose wave of signature pink.
Why is his cell tail out? I'm still not used to this cell tail, like that just looks
his
disgusting.
hybrid android margin and Saiyan body. Before, with his head down and of a truly inhumane and beastly look, Vegito coldly commands, "Now, Give this mortal the energy he deserves! But Arak, seemingly still unbothered, just quickly gets onto his feet, his arms behind his back, as with an almost disinterested tone, he says, So this is that Universe 7 Saiyan? What on earth was Beerus doing allowing such a creature to thrive? He does seem different now, however. It seems he's undergone some changes while I was meditating. Kukatail, what is the meaning of this? To which the contrastingly nervous-looking angel would just say back while not taking his eyes off Vegito. Honestly, you don't want to know, my lord. You have been in meditation for a long time, preparing that ability. But just know, the God Killer now is not someone to take lightly. Enough! Both of you die here! But not willing to waste a single second more, Vegito launches a completely un-Saiyan-like attack, as both his Cell Tail and Majin Buu Goo extend straight out of his arms at speed. What? Kukatail, watch out! Leaving both Arak and his angel attendant.
Yeah, so he did. He's like, he made it like go like opposite ways.
With Vegito switching his arms, making sure the Cell Tail would head for the angel, while the Buu portion would reach Arak, attempting for the first time to absorb two divine entities at the same time. But of course, such a straightforward attack was hardly going to be enough for a god, let alone
yeah.
And both Arak and Kukatail jump straight into the air, looking below at the failed attack of Vegito. What? That is, of course, until right above the angel, a time portal instantly opens, a void into the unknown, but with a certain object about to poke out.
The sword?
Huh? What is that? Wait, no, how? But as Kukatail begins to see whatever this object is, he begins to shudder in panic and confusion, not being able to understand how it had now appeared right in front of him.
I know it's the Cell
And out
Tail.
of the portal,
I thought it was probably going to be the
slow-moving
sword or
Cell
something.
Tail is inexplicably then revealed, along with Vegito's laughing voice, and not for long before...
Whoa!
With the ridiculous speed, too fast for even an angel, after Vegito's recent power increase, the needle of the Cell Tail stabs straight through the forehead of Kukatail.
Oh, in the forehead? I thought it was in the eye again.
Get off! But unbelievably, despite piercing right through his skull, Kukatail somehow remains sentient, struggling as much as he can with all his might to remove the absorption device, with him having seen plenty
that looked
of
like that
times
hurt,
now
man. I'm not gonna lie.
soon do to him. Kukatail! And of course, his destroyer student, watching on, would only stare with a look of panic.
Alright, well, Kukatail didn't last long. Not that I was expecting
But
him to.
before Arak could figure anything out, the gruesome absorption of the divine angel is complete, as Kukatail's once bulky figure is reduced down to nothing but a shell of his former self, resembling more fine leather than an angel from above. And viciously, like a snake dragging its prey back into its den, the Cell Tail retracts back just as fast into the time portal, dragging the angel's lifeless body along with it until both then disappear along with the time portal that was once there. What have you done to him? Causing the god of destruction to become.
Well, most likely he's erased. That's what he did to him. Most likely.
And yells, "How dare you take him? Bring him back! I find you, I will." Huh? But as Arak looks around to where Vegito once was, a look of shock approaches his face. Where the hell did you go? As he soon realizes, just like with his angel, not a trace of Vegito remains around him anymore either, leaving the god bemused. Open your eyes wider, fool! Until a helping hand in the form of Vegito's voice calls from somewhere on the battlefield. Why you? Running already, are we? Making the god
I swear these gods of
rage,
destructions are
ready
just
to
so
spot wherever
delusional,
the
dude.
god killer was hiding.
So they just say anything to make themselves
How
feel
did you-
good. Like
But unfortunately, Vegito was far from hiding. And to the sheer terror and surprise of Arak, the base form Vegito appears right in front of the destroyer, smiling in his face as he goes.
is he in base form still?
Running?
Oh
That's
yeah,
a
it looks
funny
like
way
it.
to describe me waiting right behind you. Now, what were you saying? When you find me, you were going to do what exactly? You ugly freak.
Oh, damn.
Which the mockery and
Damn.
horror Arak would just
Man, he called him an
whisper.
ugly freak.
Kukatail, what have you
That's
done
messed
with
up.
him, you vile beast? Bring him here at once!
What is Arak anyway? Like, is he like some sort of like
Twitching
animal?
out,
Like, does he like
giggling with
represent like an
confidence,
animal or
God killer,
something, or is it
just
just
in
like
reply,
an original
Oh,
design
how
or something like
adorable.
that? I'm not too sure.
You just want to see your
Like someone
dear
told me like
master
Jin
again,
is like a
don't you?
fish, but I don't know what
Well,
I don't know what Arak is. I
Lucky
couldn't
for
even think.
you, I can have that arranged. Feel free to say a final goodbye, but just don't expect him to say much back.
Oh,
Before
yup.
immediately
Yep,
his
he's gonna
left eye
call him
goes black
with his
and
energy,
activates a certain
thing.
ability.
His energy projection. That's
What's
what
he
I'll call it.
doing now? Leaving the confused Arak to just watch on nervously, not knowing whether the Saiyan was bluffing or not. Lord Arak. But from the side of the destroyer, a familiar voice that could only belong to one divine being calls out to him. And cautiously, the sweating Arak would then slowly turn his eye to the side until... Kukatail! In a traumatic scene, Kukatail is indeed brought back to the side of his god of destruction, but now under the control of Vegito. And also, it's nothing more than an energy apparition to be used as a tool by the god killer. What's wrong? I thought you wanted to say goodbye. You! What have you done? You dare use him like a mere toy? Instantly now turning the fear into rage, the god raises his back. Moving quickly then towards Vegito, with his arm cocked back, ready to attack. But looking down, Vegito would only meet this with a smile, saying, "Oh, so you want to say goodbye to me instead, do you? Go for it." But unfortunately, as Arak's punch lands on the chest of Vegito, nothing but a dull thud is heard in response. Are you sure you even care about that angel? Just what was that supposed to be? Don't get cocky! Yeah! Immediately then launching into a flurry of kicks and punches, all at hyper speed, against the torso of Vegito. But just like before, they don't seem to be doing much against the flinchless god killer.
I mean, Kukatail said something about
Can you
some
hurry up
ability or
already
something. So
and
are we
start
gonna see some
Ooh,
type
this
of like
tickling
special
is
ability or
sending
something?
me to sleep.
Yeah.
Immediately then stopping the exhausted god in his
I mean, this
tracks
makes sense.
as he eventually
This is
realizes
what it should
the
be,
futility
honestly.
of his attacks. Just thinking to himself,
Yeah.
What is going on here? Did he somehow manage to absorb my energy too? Why are my attacks doing nothing?
No, I don't think that
Aren't I
happened.
at full strength? You are at full strength, my ugly little friend. Instantly being interrupted by a giggling
God
Vegito,
damn, whoa.
who explains further. The only problem, though, is I'm just on a totally different level now. You now are as weak to me as the millions of Earthlings you murdered were to you. But this comment only creates annoyance and anger with Arak, as he grimaces and retorts, "Preposterous. This is the kind of warrior Beerus had in his universe? There's no way. Such power would have increased their mortal level far beyond the other universe."
I mean, obviously, he wasn't as strong as this when he accidentally killed Beerus, obviously, right?
Have to get rid of him the only way.
I guess I don't know if Saiyans can get stronger, I guess.
Web of Arak! And suddenly, without warning, Arak opens his mouth wide open, along with the 4 whiskers on each side of his face, flaring up and releasing simultaneously a strange golden web of aura in all directions, one straight for Vegito. Immediately launching the mysterious web straight at him as he stands still.
This web is coming from his whiskers, right?
Without fear. For a minute, though, as it approaches,
I know he's not a spider. I mean, just by looking at him, he's not a spider. Right? So, like,
Spider-Man? What? But despite the underestimation of Arak's web, once it hits, Vegito himself completely.
So yeah, this is that magic ability, right?
His arms and legs binded towards his body. Why won't this budge? And unbelievably, even when Vegito attempts to struggle free, nothing moves. Damn it! Did I make a mistake here? This thing, it's strong! Leaving the God Killer now with a panicked look as he stares into the eyes of the destroyer before him. And approaching the God Killer now with the tables turned is Arak, who cockily lets out, with his arms behind his back, "Not so tough now, are you, Saiyan? Of course you wouldn't be able to break through this mortal wall. It is, after all, something not even the Dai Shinken could free himself from." What? Instantly gaining a reaction from Vegito, who questions, "What do you mean? What's powering this thing?" To which the now smiling widely Arak would say back, My, you're very curious for one on the cusp of death. This web is the 2,000-year-old web of my being, powered and strengthened by my energy for millennia. Each and every time I meditated, I poured more of my energy into this.
Okay.
Today, that energy within this web would be enough to stop anyone. Just I never thought there would be such a fool brazen enough to stand still for it. Your overconfidence will be your downfall. And with complete disrespect, as Arak gets closer, he smacks the God Killer right across the face, while yelling, "Dirty scum!" Leaving Vegito's cheek bruised as a single line of blood oozed down from his mouth. But not finished yet, the god would carry on with a look of rage. "You disgust me. I wanted to save this attack one day to fight my best friend in one final battle before I retired.
Who, Jin?
But you killed him before that could ever happen. You killed Jin."
Yeah, I had a feeling it was Jin, because Jin had a flashback of
But on
Arak.
hearing this, a strange sense of accomplishment comes to Vegito, as a sinister smile emerges and he laughs. "That fish face was your friend? Poor you. You should have heard how he screamed in his final moments. More like a baby than a god. But at least you know now just how it feels to lose the people closest to you." "Shut up!" But quickly to interject, Arak moves his palm at speed towards Vegito's face At first looking like another slap, but his hand just stops short until... Hakai! With the chant of destruction, Arak screams to the heavens themselves, conjuring up every inch of Hakaishin energy within him. Initially leaving Vegito stunned, as it seems even he didn't anticipate such a follow-up, but with the attack being so quick, soon Vegito's entire face is lost in the light, as he just mutters quietly, "No!" Before immediately, Vegito's entire body is engulfed completely by a concentrated ball of Hakai. As from the outside,
it's so interesting that you will have some guys of destruction just using the Hakai ability where there is no ball, and then there's other one that actually has like a ball of Hakaishin energy. It's kind of interesting. I wonder why you would use one or the other, right?
Bears the complete brunt of the Hakai.
Maybe one is close range and one is long, but if that was the case, why didn't he use the, you know, the technique, I guess, instead of the energy ball, right?
That is until Vegito stops pretending and instead
he was pretending? Okay.
And menacing smirk appears as the saying lets out, "Sorry, but I can't even bring myself to pretend anymore. I was losing my voice. But suffice to say, this level of destruction is nothing to me now." Leaving Arak completely taken aback, as for the first time, he witnesses a mortal resist completely the power of destruction. As he grunts out, How is my Hakai not even damaging him?
Yeah, he was just,
and almost
he was
as
just
if he was
pretending,
restarting an
dude.
engine, Arak resorts to intensifying his Hakai even further, in hopes this time he would finally begin erasing Vegito. But of course, this is far from the case, as the trap still in the web, Vegito just continues to smile and in perfect condition. Now with a growing smile and baring his teeth, as if excited by the feeling, the God Killer lets out, "Listen, you wrinkled snail. Scream as much as you want.
Is that what he is?
This
Is he a snail?
isn't going to work.
I don't know.
All you're doing right now is giving me a little burn, a glorified tan, and it's starting to get a little uncomfortable. So I'll tell you this once, quiet down now before something bad happens." Hakai! But undeterred, the god just continues his destruction, now morphing his face as he roars to his highest decibel and unleashes the full power of his Hakai. The ball of Hakai now becoming so large and concentrated that now even Vegito is completely unseen from the outside. But of course on the inside, Vegito appears still, but the Hakai seems to now have an effect, as he looks to the top of his head and says, "Not bad. Seems this worm has enough energy to at least begin erasing my hair. But I told him to stop, and now he will learn the hard way." What? As shockingly,
Oh, did he cut off his
almost in the
head?
instant that Vegito says those ominous words, a sharp slice appears across the neck of the destroyer, but it's not quite clear where from.
Yeah, where'd that come from? Yeah, actually, now I'm thinking about it.
In the aftermath, Arak's head is lopped clean off, separating in a flurry of blood from his spurting torso. Until finally the course is clear. In the distance,
Oh, the blade. He called the blade out.
is
Okay.
the blade of destruction, formerly owned by the first of the 5 strongholds.
Yeah. I mean, Arak had no shot, right? Let's be real. Let's be honest to ourselves.
Insult to injury, almost simultaneously, Vegito bursts forth from the so-called web of Arak and shamelessly yells, "Oh, and well, would you look at that? I could have broken free from this weak excuse of a trap at any time I wanted to after all. Now it's time to finish you before you stop breathing, snail. Don't you die on me! As the God Killer, now putting in effort for the first time, yells as he makes his move and immediately grabs the still barely functioning skull of the Destroyer with force, before instantly zapping the energy from within him. So fast, it almost appears as if Vegito had unleashed the touch of death.
I mean, he told him to stop, but it doesn't matter. He was cooked in there.
Callously then dropping the deceased skull as he comments unimpressed. What pathetic energy. Compared to gods, the energy of these gods and angels is disgusting. I desire something far
It's
greater.
disgusting? Oh, shoot.
And almost in a payback of disrespect to being slapped earlier, Vegito then begins licking the blood off his chin.
Like I said, pure psychopath, man.
Immediately then spitting it back out.
Oh, but he did spit it out. He's not like Broly where he just like licked it and swallowed it.
Before, of course, then following up with his own signature Hakai, erasing Arak on the spot, and sending his being to never be seen ever again.
Goodbye, Arak. It was not nice knowing you.
Now, all alone in Universe 5, Vegito remains in the air in silence, before landing on the ground with a small thud. And then looking into the air solemnly, he then lets out in deep thought, so, the final days are coming. Now even the gods and angels are mere ants before. Could I beat the Grand Priest as I am now? I used to think I could.
Yeah, I don't think so,
But
man.
if what
I mean,
God said
God
was
said
true,
there's 4 more.
about 4 others,
I don't
not
think
even
so.
including that midget being far stronger than him, then I don't know anymore. But what I do know is, I need more of the energy of the 5. Blade, come to me!
Yeah, how did that blade cut what's his name's neck off anyway? Did he just open a portal and then he just fell down, or did he like command it? Like, I don't even know.
And with a speedy burst of flight, the impossibly sharp blade follows his command and shoots straight to him. But just as the blade gets close, suddenly it is interrupted halfway through and struck by something that also sounds metallic in nature.
Okay.
Leading to the blade of destruction spinning out of control before stabbing into the ground nearby. What was that? Leaving Vegito shocked at first, having not sensed a single other being in the vicinity. Before immediately turning his head quickly to see just who it could be, yelling, and whose death wish is it now? Another of the 5? But as Vegito looks into the distance, he can barely make out what the small figure is. That is until we zoom in, and on his one knee, sheathing back the sword he used to strike away the blade of destruction, is an adult looking
Trunks? Wait, what?
We don't know yet, but as he stands up
I mean, that looks like Dragon Ball Hero
wearing
or
a
like
large,
Xenoverse
long
Trunks, right?
coat and hair reminiscent of the Cell Zone.
Okay.
What? Trunks?
Yo,
Of
what?
course, once Vegito
Hey, yo,
sees
the
this,
goat. Trunks?
he
Trunks?
gets left confused,
Trunks?
shell-shocked,
Hey, yo?
the rest of us.
Hey, yo, what? Yo, Trunksu? The GOAT himself? Thank you guys for watching. Of course, I'm gonna be rating this episode a solid, man, I just gotta give it an 8 out of 10, right? Definitely. You know, Trunks, we have Trunks now, bro. That's crazy. I'm excited to see what he's even gonna say. I'm assuming he has to do something with the timelines, because I mean, Vegito's just been going crazy with the portals and the timelines and all this stuff. So, thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys in the next reaction video, of course. Ultra Vegito, let's go.